can I give in the...
Yes, I mean, say, unfortunately, the point of view of the ulama of India and Pakistan, of our Sunni ulama to which we belong, that is school of thought, has been in a way opposed to it. But there are ulama who feel that the item of zakat mentioned in the Quran, one of the items is fi sabilillah, in the way of God. Now, in this connection, this school of thought says, our ulama in general, our Sunni Hanafi ulama of India and Pakistan, they are of the opinion, on the basis of older books, not from their own side. It's not that, God forbid, they are dishonest or anything. They are honest in that, you see. But they try to follow what the older thought is. Now, the older conditions were different. There were Muslims were a supreme power in the world, and they were very wealthy and prosperous people, and their governments were there, and all those things were there. The conditions were not the same then as they are now. So at that time, this fi sabilillah was interpreted as supplying arms to the Muslim soldiers when they went for jihad, or supplying, providing money to their families during the absence of those people who went for jihad. You see, now, it comes actually to defense of Islam. The item becomes that this money in this item can be actually spent on defense of Islam. All right. So now, when this jihad is not being made and has not remained possible, you see, then and Islam is to be defended on other counts in a community like this, where there is no Muslim government to look after the Muslim education, Islamic education of our children, for instance. And our Iman and our Islam also have become quite weak. Individual Muslims are suffering from individual shortcomings as Muslims. That is very well known, with all their honesty for Islam and everything, you see. But we are in that state. So, the view of this school of thought is that under the item of fi sabilillah, after the needy and the destitutes and the widows and the orphans and these people, after they have been looked after properly, and there is an amount in the community chest which is saved, and the cause of defense of Islam in the form of opening madrasas, for instance, for teaching our children what Islam is and so on and so forth, or even in the form of publishing books on Islam and so on and so forth, zakat can be spent on this item under the heading of fi sabilillah.
Can also that money can be used for opening up industries and so forth, and get income to utilize for the upliftment of the poor?
Yes, there is a school of thought in this 20th century on this count also, that if money in the zakat fund remains surplus, you see, then it can be invested in order that that fund may grow and that cause may be served better. And on that, with regard to that, again, that we who are of this opinion, we take this sanction from the Quran, because the Quran has given the sanction about the orphan's property, that if a Muslim becomes the guardian of orphan's property, then he can honestly invest that wealth in some business in order to help and benefit those orphans. You see, if he is honest in his endeavor, then, and if he has taken into consideration all the pros and cons, and if he is overcautious, even more cautious in investment than he would be for his own wealth, you see, then after that, as a trustee of that, as the guardian of those orphans.
Only this little bit.
Mawlana, is Zakat.
Bismillah, sorry. I'm sorry.
They don't give direct to the madrasa. They make what they call sort of hila. So you can't give it direct.
Yes.
Wait.
They give it sort of indirect.
Mawlana, repeat about those.
Now, Mawlana, I'd like to ask you further. Look, I'm sorry to trouble you. Look, if we are doing this fund for the madrasa, and we need about 100,000 rand. If it comes to a push that we can't do it, should we give the zakat money to fill it up?
Individually, why we haven't got the community shares?
You see, we may have to leave the project if we can't get the money. Now, should we?
Yes, I will say, in accordance with this minority opinion, you might give 1/8 of your yearly zakat, because there are 8 items.
Or 1/8.
1/8. You see? With the intention that you are giving it fi sabilillah in the way of God, and this is an important thing.
1/8.
You see, 1/8. So I was saying that this minority school holds to the view that because the money which is held in trust for the orphans by their guardian can be invested in business and so on in order to benefit those orphans. Similarly, if there is a surplus money, 1 year has ended and now more income is to come, and there is surplus money and there is nobody whom they can actually give profitably, then for the benefit of the poor and the needy and all those items, they can invest it, you see. Because it will remain their property all the same, because it is the property of would-be beneficiaries, you see. So it won't go to anyone else.
Do the debtors come under this too?
They do.
They do.
If there is any person who is suffering from a bad debt which he can't pay, then out of this money of zakat he should be helped, in order that he pays off his debt.
Can a zakat collector be paid money also for collecting zakat?
Sure. That item is clearly laid down in the Quran.
And if a businessman is helped, that's right.
I remember,
Should he pay back to the fund?
Huh?
Should he pay back the money he received?
Yeah, that is in the Quran.
It is in temporary difficulty.
If the man gives zakat to the chest, does it discharge? Like the Mawlana said, like the other Mawlana said, if you give it to the community chest, it doesn't discharge unless it's not distributed.
Wonderful thing.
That's what he has.
No, he has said a wonderful thing. Because in the earliest part of Islam, it was given to the community chest, to the estate Baitul Mal, and the obligation was discharged. Right there.
When you give it.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes, yeah, but you see, I told you that time, I told that time that it could be given to the organization, I defied that.
Mawlana,
About this graveyard. Now,
Oh, I have got to live for some time more. You see, why are you reminding me of the
we are making namaz there, Janazah namaz there, but it's open. Now, what should we close that?
Yeah, close the walls. Make the walls.
Mawlana Aswari is right. Mawlana Aswari is right. You can't make namaz there. Because we open.
Yeah, no, it might be
Mawlana Aswari says you can't make it in the
No, but
graveyard at all.
Mawlana is open right through.
No, I mean what I am saying is that at the end of a graveyard, there is a plot of land which you have allocated as graveyard.
Yeah,
Now, out of that plot of land, at one end,
you can make it.
at one end, if you even make a masjid, for instance, there, if you can make even a masjid, you can make that masjid. It will not be considered as part of graveyard anymore. And when the walls are high, it is fully divided and
Mawlana, our graveyard
partition.
is not walled.
Yeah, that is wrong.
Our graveyard is not walled.
Only has burglar proof.
No, I'm sorry, our
Burglar proof on all 4 sides.
all we have to do, look, very simple. All we have to do is we
Put the
close
walls.
up those. We don't have to put a wall. We have got the tarpaulins which are. But that's what I'm asking. Mawlana, we must do.
Yes, you do it. That's what Mawlana said, do it, cover it up with the walls, that's
Have a
what.
masjid there.
And it should be at the end, mind you. It should not be inside graveyard.
No,
Yes.
that's what Mawlana Ansari also said. It should be
the end.
Yes.
not inside
Yes,
the graveyard. It
you
should
are
be
graves on the side.
adjacent.
No graves in the
Yes.
Yeah, when used to take the wall and then show it to where it is. They can just
what's
say,
the
Well, why don't you build another one then? What is this argument There's then? no place there, Mr. Murthy.
No, no, these are ordinary issues and any alim. Any alim, Mawlana, what is his name, Aswari or any other alim who has read all these books, he can give a proper reply.
You see, the graves are here, the graves are here, the graves are here, and this is enclosed, but there are no.
you of the cemetery.
No, 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 I am not afraid of it. You see, I was just joking.
As a Muslim, am I entitled to take out a life insurance policy? As a Muslim, am I entitled to take out a life insurance policy?
You see, in connection with the life insurance policy, the thing is that according to the Islamic law, it is the duty of the Islamic state to ensure every Muslim who lives in that state. Because Islam was the first to give the social insurance scheme to the world. Islam has established the social welfare department and the social insurance tax and all that. So, if that social insurance is there already, then it will be haram for any person to take out his social insurance policy. But if a person is living under non-Muslim, non-Islamic economic conditions, without any security from any quarter, you see, then in order to face this big evil of insecurity, a Muslim under such conditions can take out life insurance policy.
In the circumstances.
Dr. Ansari, this question I posed to her yesterday and it was left with the parents for today. Evidently we have a lot of children that are non-paying in the madrasas, that can't afford to pay. When we go out for collections, people offer us zakat money. Can that money be used for the education of these children?
That is for buying books for them and for paying their fees?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Because they are poor, they are destitute, I would say they don't have the means. And to impart education to a person is one of the highest blessings that you can confer on him, according to Islam. So you are going to do a great good to him and you cannot do it until he is able to pay his fees, and therefore you can pay the fees from that zakat money. And also buy his books from that zakat money.
Another question.
And even if he needs buy his clothes also from that zakat money.
Dr. Ansari, you have mentioned time and time again that this body of ours is temporal. It's just given to us here to keep the soul and keep it. Once that is, the soul has left, this body is useless, it's nothing. Is it within the Muslim rights to donate our limbs or our eyes for the benefit of some other person?
I have answered this question in Durban, it should be called from there. All my answers are
As you know,
taped.
speeches will be printed out in the digest every month in
Yes.
audio.
العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My friends, I am really feeling very embarrassed because this function was organized without my knowledge, without taking my advice. And when it had been organized, I was informed that there is to be a banquet. About the banquet also, I was not informed that it was to be in my honor, so that I could know as a world tourist what it means. The idea was that there is a small banquet at a certain person's home, and that brother of mine feels that I may participate in that if I can get the plane at 6:30 from Durban. I made it clear that it is not possible for me to speak. I have finished my tour. I had finished it on the 4th of October. When, are you hearing me? Is it audible? I had finished my tour on the 4th of October. When the last farewell reception was given, I had no need to go back to Durban. I could have come from Cape to Johannesburg and from here went to my country. So I had absolutely no idea that it was going to be a farewell function, because the farewell function had already been held in Transvaal, and I knew that in that hall. But all this is actually based on love and love alone. But sometimes very noble motives are also can also be misplaced. Your love, you have come here from all these places to be able to listen to me and to meet me.
It's raining. Started to the
Come here. Come here.
Well, Allah is also happy that He's giving us His showers of blessing.
Yes.
Which we need to do that.
Alhamdulillah. So I know that all this is out of love, love for Islam, love for me. But love can also be misplaced sometimes, you see. Out of love you might do even some harm to the person whom you love. That is very well known, I must say it is. So, actually I made it clear, but this brother of mine to whom I was talking over the telephone from Durban, he has also got an overflowing love for me and for Islam. So, this situation arose. I have been asked to give my impressions of my tour of South Africa. I think the South African Muslim community is similar to all the other Muslim communities in the world. It has the same problems, the same weaknesses and the same strong points. It is a community mostly of those, I would say it is composed of two groups. One is called the Indian group, the other is called the Malay group. Of course there is another group also from Zanzibar of the Swahilis. But everywhere in the world of Islam, the problems are the same. I think I should congratulate the Muslims of South Africa, especially because they came here under very adverse conditions, and the manner in which they have been able to keep Islam alive in this country is worthy of the highest admiration, and from this point of view, they are superior to the Muslims in Pakistan or in India, where those people did not have these problems. And even now there are different things in the country which do not make it possible for Islam to prosper, which, so to say, there are factors which are against Islamic progress. Muslims do not live even at a place, in a township. If they are in a town, they do not live all of them at one place in order to have that corporate Islamic life and to get all those benefits from it. They have to remain scattered, a few houses here and a few houses there and like that. So under all these conditions, whatever they have been able to retain of Islam, it is something about which the entire Muslim world should congratulate. And that is also a very happy sign. But the problem here also is the same as we have in Pakistan, which I emphasized immediately that I arrived in South Africa to a very venerable alim who is here. We were talking about it. In the car, he was accompanying me in the car, this friend of mine who is in my front. They asked me about what is the condition of Islam in Pakistan, and I was to be frank and honest. So I told them that we are fighting among ourselves, so there is nobody who can take care of Islam. And I found the same thing here. And it is very unfortunate that there seems to be no way out. I would say I have been emphasizing here that the differences between the Hanafis and the Shafi'is and the Malikis and the Hanbalis are greater than the differences between Hanafis who are called Barelvis and Deobandis and so on. You see. But those differences arose at a time when Muslims were large-hearted, when they had some higher ideals and they wanted to achieve those ideals. So they did not care for petty things. And the ulama of those days announced unanimously that all the four schools of law are equally barhaq, they are equally correct. But what has happened with us is that because unfortunately we were born in an age, we are living in an age where we do not have any higher ideals, and we do not have any high ambitions also. So we are prone to fight on very, very minor issues, which will either way will not make any person Muslim or Kafir or anything, but we give an emphasis to these problems. And naturally, when the emphasis is given, then both the parties must have some stiff attitude. And when there is a stiff attitude, then there is no possibility of a compromise. And the strifes and quarrels continue. For this also the Muslims here are not to be blamed, because they have learned Islam in this manner, they know just that part of Islam, and as I have been emphasizing that we have converted Islam into a cult. We do not stand for the whole of Islam. We do not even understand properly what the whole of Islam is. And I emphasized here in the first meeting which was held after my arrival in Transvaal that Islam has got a value system which is its foundation. Then from the value system emerges a system of norms, and out of the norms emerge principles, and from principles emerge laws. So out of these laws we have taken just a few, and we try to do as best as we might be able to do, but it has actually been, it is not a matter of pleasure for me to emphasize this thing time and again. Our approaches have become partial. And this is happening in the whole Islamic world today, unfortunately. Either the approach is what I should say historical, that my forefathers were Muslim and therefore I am a Muslim, and I take pride in being a Muslim. This is historical approach, that Islam is a legacy. And everyone in this approach is a Muslim by accident, because he was born in a Muslim family, therefore he is a Muslim. If he had been born in a Hindu family, he would have been a Hindu. Then there is a social approach or a cultural approach, that we have inherited certain cultural principles from our forefathers, and that is our culture, and we must try to make the best of it, and we should try to stick to it. Then when people proceed beyond that, then if they are educated, they want to have a philosophical approach or an academic approach, which is purely academic, which consists only in intellectual gymnastics and nothing beyond that. Or if we want to become very pious type of people, according to our concept, then our approach is ritualistic. Islam stands for certain rituals, of course it does, but not in the sense that they are rituals, but in the sense that they are the highest spiritual exercises. Prayer is not a ritual, actually. If it is said without that spirit, then it becomes a ritual. If it is said in a constructive, positive manner, with the understanding of what are the values that stand behind it, and why should a person pray, and that this prayer is communion with God, and communion with God is something real. It is not merely something of my imagination only. And this communion is consequential. It bears fruit. It builds me up in my personality. And this thing that I have been ordered as a Muslim to pray 5 times a day, this also has got a very deep meaning, because as a Muslim I should try to be a godly person, and I should try to remember God all the time. So at intervals, 5 times a day I have been asked, starting from my waking up to the time that I go to bed, I should perform this communion in order that the focus of my personality and of my emotions and of my thought and of my will, that focus remains correct, focused on God and God alone. But if we don't pray in this manner and with this consciousness, then it becomes a ritual. And then also something happens in the case of many people nowadays, unfortunately. A term I have coined for it, you see, it's called piety complex, like inferiority complex and superiority complex. It's something like piety complex. So a person who prays 5 times a day and conforms to certain external forms in his dress or anything else, they usually develop a sort of complex. They look down upon others who don't behave in the same manner or don't come to the masjid so punctually. So all these things are happening because in my humble opinion, there is no proper channel of imparting the knowledge of the whole of Islam comprehensively. We should teach what is the ideal of Islamic life and what technique has been given to us for that ideal. As I said at one place, I think here or at some other place, that if you look at Islam from the point of view of ideals, you will find that the ideal is Islam is positive, constructive, forward-looking. It is not apologetic, it is not defensive, it is not passive. It believes in activism. And because it believes in activism, therefore its entire outlook on life and the entire Sharia is based on the concept of progress and evolution. And this progress cannot be possible until and unless the obstacles that are there are conquered. If you want to make progress, if you want to walk in a wild country, you will meet with numerous obstacles. You will meet with forests who will stop your way, you can't go further. You will meet with hills, and you will meet with valleys, and you will meet with ponds and lakes and so many things, you see. So you have got to conquer them in order that you may be able to find a way from one place to another. You will have to build a road on the basis of certain principles and make a way where there is no obstacle. The road is that piece of land where there is no obstacle. It is all smooth. So here in life also we have got numerous obstacles. The obstacles